is COVID-19 actually doing besides, killing over 200,000 people? What is it actually doing? It's causing people's behaviors to change. But in what way is it causing people's behaviors to change? It doesn't matter how many people fight the mask or go with the mask. That's a non-issue. That's a foolish issue. They want people to argue about that so they never notice the meat of what's happening. It was never about the mask. It was never about any of those things. It was about the behaviors of individuals. In every single operation and counterintelligence operation, to change the behavior of people is priority. You do whatever you can do to bring about that change in the behaviors of people. Why are they doing this? If you get a person used to a routine, and we're not talking about the mask, then throw the mask out. Don't think about the mask. But if you change the routine of a person, right, under unfamiliar conditions, they resort back to the routine. The routine becomes home. It becomes normal. Even if it's odd at the onset, it becomes their natural behavior. People operate in that way. In other words, if you trained a person to do a specific task every single day, at first they may complain about it. They may not like it. You keep doing that to that individual, and then all of a sudden what happens is you bring about some sort of calamity upon them. Now, something very interesting happens. They forget about their old habits, right? And they begin to adopt or act in part with their new habits they were taught. So what is this really about? In changing the behaviors of people, guess what they're prepared to do? They're used to, number one, following directions, right? They're used to waiting in line, following directions. They can fuss, they can do all what they want to do, but they're standing in those lines. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I recently went to a grocery store. I saw people lined up, they were trying to get in there because of social distancing. I heard people say, I'm not putting on a mask, but they were all standing in line. I heard another couple say, yep, they should put on a mask, everybody should, but they were standing in line. So behaviors have changed. Also, expectations have changed. When you go into a place, because it's less dense than it usually is, that's called a controlled environment. So they're teaching everybody to operate within a controlled environment, and they're also teaching people to like it. So what's happening is a person may get into a store. What if they said, take off your mask? Everybody would say, such a relief. But it's not, because you still can only have a certain number of people in the store. The merchandise is dwindling on the shelves, and they're waiting in lines. So with this trained behavior, they're also doing it with cars. Checkpoints are being put up for COVID-19, and that'll be implemented probably in about a month for COVID-19, where in order to get through certain barriers or certain checkpoints or certain places, possibly from town to town, you're going to have your temperature taken. They're going to ask you, where are you going? Because I can look at the U.S. right now, and you know what I see? It reminds me of the first time when I was introduced into the wrong side of Germany is what it